everybody, and welcome on into another edition of the Living Deadwax podcast, a special show review edition of the Living Deadwax podcast. Attended some shows recently, going to be talking about them tonight. If you like that kind of stuff, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. It helps us out. We're inching towards 100 subs, so let's get there before the end of the year, man.
Let's get there before people figure out they subscribe to us and then stop. They delete us. So let's,
exactly. Yeah. I've thought about I like those posts and people post like, oh, I got this amount of subs, and then like unsubscribing. That way the account gets screwed up.
Yeah, didn't somebody do that on Twitch recently? Like it was a big dude. He's like gonna get 10 million or something or other. I don't remember. It was some crazy number, and then like he was doing a stream of it because I watched like the clip video, and then when he was doing a stream, like we're about to get our 10 million or whatever, and then all of a sudden it went up, and then it just started dying, going down and going down and going down. He lost like thousands of subs in like a couple seconds because they just wanted to see him not get it. He probably still got it.
See that,
but yeah,
that's fine.
Shout out that guy, whoever it was. I don't remember.
Shout out. But went to a couple shows. And the last one we went to was Wednesday night, but we went to one Saturday night. And we're gonna talk about both of them. So Saturday night we ventured out to the Marquee Theater here in Tempe, Arizona, and we saw The Darkness. So the British rock band from the early 2000s. You may remember them from the song I Believe in a Thing Called Love. It's their big their big hit. They're celebrating the 20th anniversary release of their debut album Permission to Land, and had a lot of fun, man. What'd you think?
Oh yeah, no, it was awesome. Like, I mean, obviously because I liked I knew a couple songs off that record, and I liked it when it came out, but I have not revisited it until we went. And so like we went because you're a big fan of it, and I'm, again, admittedly not a huge fan of the record just because I haven't really exposed myself too much to it at the time. And no, it was still super awesome. Like, they do a really, really good job with their stage show and their fan interaction and everything else. Like, we got there, and so just elephant in the room here, which kind of sucked. It was a little, initially we got there, a bit of a bummer because we got there, it was curtained. So I'd probably say a third of the room, you think? I don't know. Let's say.
Yeah, maybe.
A little less than a third was curtained off, which I had never seen happen at Marquee Theater before. So we knew it was going to be a soft room. And so it kind of bummed me out whenever that happens. So I was expecting, that's just the way it was going to be. And like, it wasn't maybe, and I still expected fun, but it filled up as much as it could with the curtains. And it was a blast. Like, their opener was still cool too. I forget their opener's names, but just a cool, fun Southern rock band.
Comancheros or something like that.
Something like that. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
They had a good 70s gimmick kind of going on, which kind of fit with The Darkness, obviously.
Yeah, they were kind of like a ZZ Top. They were a 3-piece.
Yeah, kind
of like a heavy Southern rock,
for sure. Yeah, it was heavy and Southern, I think was their tag on their kick drum, I feel like. But that was a cool intro for them. There was only two bands on the bill, so it was them and then The Darkness. So they played the opener played for, I want to say, like maybe an hour, let's say 45 or to an hour maybe. And
maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, they did a lot of fan interaction stuff, and it was really fun. I had a lot of fun watching them, and so that was a cool warm up. And then The Darkness came out, and they killed it, man. Again, I went in with very little knowledge of that record and what they had going on, and they absolutely killed it. It was probably one of the best shows I've seen in a while, for sure.
Yeah, man, they put on such a good show, and I've been a fan of the band really since that album, and I've been lapsed the last few years. I haven't kept up with a lot of their recent releases. The debut I absolutely love. The second album is really good too, and then it kind of falls off. And I kind of they kept releasing albums. They got back together in 2011, and I just kind of stopped paying attention. I need to go back, but Yeah, I've always known their live shows are always good. I mean, Justin Hawkins, the lead singer. He did the Taylor Hawkins tribute, and he did the Van Halen part and played with Wolfgang, and they did Van Halen songs, and he nails the Van Halen songs, and like he's great live, great frontman. Like you said, really good interaction, funny.
Yeah,
Just like top tier
for
rock
sure.
show, dude. And
100%.
they played the whole Permission Land album. They didn't play it in order. They kind of spaced it out, but it was still cool. And then they mixed in some newer songs in between. And I think they played like 15 or 16. You have the set list, so I think they played like 15 or 16 songs. And yeah, it was
8, 10, 12, 15. Got 15 songs that night.
It was a good show, man. Like I think they could really catch on again. I don't know. Like they got that retro vibe, which is big again. They have that vibe still, and they do it right. I think like older fans that are into like 70s hard rock and shit and 80s glam stuff like that would
that
be
audience for sure 100%. The audience that night, like, it ranged. They had a very very wide net there in their audience, because we saw folks there that were, you know, in their 20s, early 20s, maybe even teens, I'm not sure. We saw, you know, kids there, and then we saw literally 70-year-olds. Like, the whole row, because in front of us there was only like maybe 2 rows of people, like a, you know, a row and a half of people, and on the rail there, and their entire like front right side of the crowd were all 60-plus-year-old women, and they were going off the entire night. They were super stoked on it. And there was like the oldest one, I think her name was Patricia, maybe, I don't remember, but they talked to her for half a second. They involved her in the show for a little bit, and yeah, she was 70. She definitely was at least like 70 plus, and they were all going off. Like, they were having as much fun as they used to with all the other older bands, right? And I like that. It was super cool to see that, because it makes sense. Like, if your favorite, or if your music, you know, or your favorite music is of that, you know, 70s glam rock stuff, this is what it is. Like, that's what their brand of music is. And I think it matches perfectly with that vibe. And yeah, they have their audience just is crazy. I really like that. And not often do you see that with like truly like 70-plus-year-olds. Even the shows we've gone to recently, you know, I don't know, there might have been some 70-year-olds at Metallica, I'm not sure, but you know, it's you know, it's just cool to see. It's cool to see that eclectic, you know, audience. It takes all kinds, you know.
Yeah. Well, you got to think, like, if somebody was into Metallica at the beginning, they were like 30 when Metallica started, and they're 70 now. So those fair. People exist.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. The darkness thing, though, like, because we talked about it, because I know you're bitter about it, and or you have maybe a bitter opinion about it, is they were written off as like a joke band, like they were not taken seriously. And I mean, the videos, because your thing, I remember, because we talked about it, because your thing is you think the record is just such a straight ahead, just, you know, hard rock record, whatever, and just, you know, with the 70s vibe to it. But the videos, which, I mean, to their credit, made them that first record. Those videos are for the time were, you know, iconic. They broke them on MTV or whatever, because they had the last few gasps of MTV's relevancy. 2003, like that was kind of, we're petering out there, you know. So they cash in on that for sure, and they managed to get a lot of audience off of that, obviously. And with those videos being as ridiculous as they were, I think it helped and hurt them in a lot of ways. It's kind of a bittersweet deal, right?
My thing about it is, I remember when I believe in a thing called Love blew up, because I remember it being played on KPD all the time, and KDKB back in the day when it was still a rock station.
Yeah.
And I remember like being around like older people, because we were 12, 13.
Yeah.
And I was instantly like, I like this a lot. Like, I've always liked that, right? Since it came out. Yeah. And I've grown to like it even more. And I stopped the 20th anniversary edition just came out. There's an unboxing on the channel. So I've been listening to that record a ton again and just kind of have fallen in love with it. And but I just remember even older people being like, "Oh, this is stupid." And it's like I never got that, because these are the same people that would listen to KSLX and listen to Queen and Zeppelin and Van Halen all day and be like, "Oh yeah, this is the greatest." But then when a band does similar-ish things, it's like, "Oh, I don't get it." Like, and I kind of understand it because I'm not a Greta Van Fleet guy. Like, I'd rather just listen to Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But I don't think the darkness is as derivative. Maybe that's just my fanboyism or homerism showing through.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, because they have the quirky songs, so it's like Queen. The quirky songs, they have big guitars. Justin's vocal, obviously, his falsetto, right? Like it all kind of works together pretty well. And I guess I get the comparisons, obviously, and to get compared to one of the greatest or biggest rock bands of all time, is a pretty big deal. I don't know, like did the darkness walk so Greta Van Fleet can run? Like, is that a thing? Like, is that what we're doing here? Like, it's like, because the Greta Van Fleet, like, we've met these people, we've met them, like they're out there. They have fans, like they have real fans, and they're selling records as much as you sell records these days. They're headlining festivals, and I know
mean,
the
it's a
darkness
big deal.
had their moment.
When their last album came out, whatever, like it was like what, a few months ago, like they had all the release parties and shit, and all the advertisements at Zia, and I kept seeing local record stores like, "Oh, come pick up the record," and doing release parties. So like, yeah, it's a big deal. Like maybe you're right there. I don't know. I
mean,
I just feel like they're not as derivative as Greta, and more fun.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily equate having fun as being a joke either.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily either, but because I don't know, because you're talking like tongue in cheek, like stuff, like because I listened. So that day, that record, the day after I listened to Permission to Land. I listened to the record, and like I listened to the record. I looked at the lyrics, or whatever, and there was several times where I was like, like this is a little bit, a little cheeky, right? And it's fun, but and that's the thing. It's fun. I don't care, but I think that like maybe that takes away whatever credibility they might have out there, right?
I agree, but like, okay, point to 1,000 Whitesnake songs that are fucking
for sure,
tongue-in-cheek, and Zeppelin songs, like all Queen songs. Those bands don't get labeled as a joke. It's just like, just because you came out in 2003 and decided to do that, you're a joke. Like, I don't know, like you weren't allowed to have fun.
What's funny about that is I think there's a lot more metaphor in obviously Zeppelin and Whitesnake than what there is in Queen. And Queen at this point, as we've talked about before, Queen is the biggest band in the world, and they whatever, right? So like, it's funny, they have a lot of like just straight ahead ridiculous jokey songs or whatever, right? They're big deals in their catalog. And the darkness kind of like just kind of took that and ran with it a bit.
What's funny is they started out, him and Dan, Justin's brother Dan, the guitar player, they were doing things around London and shit and doing bands and just toiling about. And then they were at a bar one night and they were doing karaoke, and Justin started doing Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay.
And then they're like, we could do this. And that's how the darkness started.
Yeah.
So like, I get it. It's not like, I don't think it's disingenuous. Like Steel Panther to me is disingenuous.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Like, that's not who you guys are. Whereas like you watch Justin's YouTube videos, like he's a kind of a weird, like quirky dude. Like you just get that vibe from him. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't strike me as a joke. Like, it's just fun. I don't know. It's not funny offensive songs for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like there's a difference between like Weird Al, like that's funny joke music, and having fun.
Yeah. it's because it's not like a spoof, out and out spoof. Steel Panther's a spoof. Like that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't think that Steel Panther. I don't take that seriously, personally. And obviously, I guess people don't take the darkness seriously. Whatever. But
Mm.
with Steel Panther, it's very clear they are just trying to like go as far as they can with the 80s hair metal, thing, and just keep that rolling and just crank it up to 11, right? And just
Mm.
have the most ridiculous spandex, hair and this and that, whatever. And that's why I said, like, when we were there were people in gimmicks, and there were people like with their like mullet haircut or
Mm.
mullet like wigs and stuff and their glasses, and like there was a guy there for some reason in an eagle costume, which
Yeah.
I think was separate from whatever the fuck, whatever's going on there, right? But like there was just like people that were kind of like leaning into it maybe a little bit more. And I don't know. I mean, I've watched a few of those Justin's videos when he's talked about other things, not the darkness necessarily, but he's talked about other things, whatever. So maybe he's addressed it possibly. I don't know how he feels about it. I mean, they all paid to come see the show, and they all bought the record and listen to it, whatever. So it doesn't matter maybe at the end of the day. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of got bummed out a little bit. Maybe I didn't. No, I shouldn't say bummed out. I don't, because it's not like that, but it's just like I do think they're a real band. Like I do think they're a real band. Like I wouldn't put them in those conversations as like the ones we just talked about, right?
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I
their
just think,
records have changed too. Like, there's a progression to their. Every record's not just the same.
yeah. Which I admittedly have no real clear idea about because I haven't listened, right? But I can just tell you from my outside looking in, I understand why it happened. I don't agree with why it happened, but I understand why it happened, right? And that's kind of a bummer. Like, I don't know. They play it really well. And Justin does all of his stuff and all of his stage presence and his performance and everything, and everything with sticking the picks on himself and whatever, and kicking him around and like involving the audience and everything, and playing with the band and stuff. Like that's a stagecraft is like, it's a next level thing, man. Like, because when you actually see it, you notice it. Like, we've seen a billion bands, right? And like, maybe you don't necessarily see bad frontmen, I guess, but you know when you see a good one. Like, you just know, like you're like, this is different. Like, your presentation, your audience interaction, everything else is just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we never saw Roth in his heyday live.
No.
We obviously got the few
Yeah.
videos, but
Sure.
I think he's the closest thing
Yeah.
going. Like,
And
and he's a
you've gone on
better
record
singer
many
than
times
Dave
saying
ever
he's the
was.
guy. Oh, 100% a better singer. If like you put it on record many times that if they ever decided to go out there and do something and do an Eddie tribute tour, Van Halen do an Eddie tribute tour, and Roth is, whatever Roth's doing, they could have Justin fill in and it wouldn't be offensive. Like, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It'd be fun as shit.
It would sound better.
Yes.
Like, he's just
totally.
he's a much better singer than Dave ever was. So,
and a guitar, and a great guitarist on top of it too.
Yeah.
They're
all really talented players. Funnily enough, too, their drummer is Roger Taylor's son.
Yes, Queen.
Rufus.
Rufus,
yeah,
his
name, right? Yeah. He put on the eagle head. That was kind of funny.
He did do that. That is cool.
Yeah.
I also liked in the midway through the set when they said that back in 2003 we did this song, or we did these thing. They cover they said the Radiohead cover or whatever, and we were the biggest thing in England, biggest band in England except for maybe Queen, and then that was kind of a little allusion to Rufus, whatever. It's fun. I didn't know. I always thought that Rufus was the drummer. I always once I found that out, for some reason my brain was like, oh, he's always been the drummer, and like, maybe that's obviously not true.
Nah.
So like, I guess my brain, I thought that, but yeah, it's cool. I mean, he's a really good drummer. Fun.
I think he's been there since 2015. He's been in the band, I think.
Okay, so a good while.
Right.
He looks like Roger, so I mean, he does look like his dad.
Yes.
He's taller, but he does look like his dad. Taller and skinnier.
Just don't let him write any songs, and then I'll be good to go.
Yeah. Hey, man. It was a really fun show. Like, again, outsider looking in. Even for a lot of shows that we go to, sometimes I'm a total outsider for a lot of it. Like, obviously there's overlap for certain bands or whatever. But like, when we go to certain shows, like I'm pretty much out on a lot of shit for the most part. If I haven't heard things through you, or whatever I've heard through you, and that's kind of where it's at. Like, there hasn't been a stinker. There's not been a show yet that I'm like, why are we like, this is dumb, this is stupid. Like, so every show kills it, and this is no different. Like, you still have whether you're in on it or not, it's still a ton of fun. Like,
Yeah.
I never heard a Merciful Fate song besides being with you. I couldn't name one, and it was still super fun to see them. It's super fun to see the Darkest, and I just knew I believe in a thing called Love, and I knew
Growing on
maybe
Me.
yeah, Growing on Me, and Love Is Only a Feeling. I feel like I've heard that too.
Okay, probably, yeah.
So like that's kind of where I was at, and they also another thing they did, which I liked or whatever, because obviously it's pictures and videos and everything else, whatever. Even though they had a sign at the front of the stage that said no pictures, no photography, whatever, no videos. It was cool when they mentioned, like, obviously they're gonna play Leaving Thing All Love, and everybody, like, their phones went up, which I guess is what you do, you know, whatever. Mine didn't, because I already took pictures, so whatever. But but everybody else, you know, popped up, and they stopped the set, and they started playing it, and then they stopped the set, and they're like, you know, hey, that shouldn't be your first inclination, you know, to pick your phone up,
Yeah.
you know. How do you think that makes us feel as the band? You know, our biggest song, and you guys aren't even paying attention to, you're watching through a screen or a video or on your phone, and you know, whatever, you're not concentrating on the show. So let's just be present in the moment. Let's just have fun right now. And for the most part, that's what people did, right? So I appreciated that, because you don't obviously get that very often for bands, because the first thing you want to do is, like, you know, take a million pictures all the time. And I think both you and I think are conscious of that. So like, while we do take pictures at shows, it's, you know, you have your moments. Like, you take pictures here, and then your phone's away, and then if something else crazy happens, you take a picture here, and then your phone's away. Like, it's very seldom through the set. Like, you pick your spots. Filming entire songs or filming entire sets or whatever the hell, that's not our it's not our forte, or, you know, what we prefer to do.
I've mostly just been doing it now because of the channel and stuff, and trying to post shorts. But yeah, I'll just do like snippets. You know, I'm not going to record a whole song.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it because, like, those signs kept phones down for most of the show, which is nice.
Yeah.
But when people did get their phones out, they weren't like militant about it.
Yeah.
Which I feel like can be worse. Like, if you go to some shows and the bands are being really militant and like mean about it, like, that's when like it gets awkward. So like they had those signs out there, which I think most people were respecting. And then
wasn't it Dream Theater said they were fucking real sticklers about it?
Yeah, the Dream Theater has security guys that are out there, and if your phone is up for more than 2 seconds, like, they more than a picture's worth, they're flashing the flashlight in your face.
It's crazy.
So
I don't know. I get it, I guess. We talked about it before. I've only had that happen once at Brand New in 2010. That's the only time I've ever had that happen. Like, every other place ever, every other band I've ever seen, like, for better or worse, there was no, you know, restrictions on that stuff, right? Even though sometimes I wish there would be restrictions, obviously, because I don't know. Like, I appreciate people taking pictures and taking videos and stuff like that, but like, I don't know, it's just too much sometimes. A lot of the time, it's just too much, and it kind of just burns you out. And like, and I know we're hypocrites on that, because you and I, like, for sets and for bands and stuff that either we're going to go see or you know, we have seen or whatever, and we're curious, we watch them. So like, you know, there is an audience for it, right? So like, we still do it. So like, you know, I mean, we're part of the problem, but
well, the phones have gotten so much better now where it doesn't sound horrendous.
Yeah.
So like, you can actually like get a good vibe. Whereas like 10 years ago, like, it just sounded like garbage. Why are you recording this?
Yeah, you're not gonna watch it.
Yeah.
There was so the show last night that we're gonna talk about next or whatever. The show last night, though, I don't know if you noticed or not. The guy in front of us had a whatever it is, the Samsung, whatever the newest Samsung is, or maybe it's not the newest one. I have no idea, right? But his zoom on his phone was so good that, like, he was on the stage for so much of the night that I was like, wow, this is impressive. Like, that is gnarly. So yeah, phones are getting so much better, and so much, you know, the quality of the zoom and the video. Yeah, it works out perfectly for a lot of folks. For us too, because we watch the videos.
Yeah. So yeah, good segue. Wrap this up. Did get a pick. That's cool. Has the logo on there.
Hell yeah.
And then it has PTL again, permission to land. It's got like the spaceship on there. And then I picked up a shirt.
Shirt's good.
And, shirt fits nice,
Yeah.
which is a rare thing these days. And
you recently pissed away $100 plus at Metallica, buying shirts that no longer fit you immediately don't fit.
Let's just not talk about it. Better just not to bring it up. We didn't really talk about it in the Metallica show review, which should be up on the channel right now. But yeah, so I bought a Metallica shirt, and I didn't want to get the shirt everybody was getting. So I'm like, I like this shirt. And I bought an XL because 90, well, not anymore because everything is made differently now. Yep. Back in the day, XL, it just fits all the time. And bought an XL, and then like, I don't like the fit of this shirt. Awful. So then we went to the second night, a week later, whatever it was. And I wanted another shirt. But again, I didn't want to buy the shirt everybody was buying. I bought that for my wife.
There you go.
And I bought a different shirt, but they didn't have XL. So I'm like, all right, I'll get 2XL because maybe those XLs are running small. The 2XL's way too big. So I have 2 useless Metallica shirts. You know, I don't even know if I lost 20 pounds, if that other shirt would fit me nicely. I don't know.
No, like the way they're cut now. Oh yeah, the way they're cut now, it's just different. Like it's weird. Like when I'm in charge, I told you when I'm running the country, I'm the first phone call, first 100 days. That phone call is being called to the shirt manufacturers, and I don't care if I got to go through China and I got to go through Mao himself or whatever. Or Chi. We're going through this. We're really setting up a standardization, okay? Like a real standardization, and we can talk about the quality of the t-shirts. That's the different thing. Sizing needs to be decided, okay? Because it's inappropriate at this point. I don't like it. It sucks. It sucks to go to a concert and like you almost have to like throw it on right then and there and go.
Yeah, you need changing rooms.
Yes, exactly. It's ridiculous. And like it doesn't make any sense to me why there is such range, because I get like you're trying to get the best at the cheapest, I guess, right? But Metallica, like for them, they're the biggest band in the world. So like you don't need to think about cutting corners here, whatever. You can buy the best shirts, the best proper sizing shirts or whatever size shirts, whatever the case is. You can do that and it's no skin off your back, right? So it's like just do that. It sucks. And I'm gun shy about buying. I don't know the last time I bought a shirt at a show. Like I'm gun shy about it because it's like, is this shirt going to be, and even here's the thing, even if it's that night, that first time I ever wear it, I put it on, like, oh, I like this a lot. I'm going to wash it. And then it's going to be, neither of us dry our clothes or dry our shirts. So like we hang them, we hang dry, air dry. And still, they managed to get a little worse for wear. It's ridiculous.
It just depends on the shirt because we'll talk. All right, we'll get into last night. So I wore my 10-year-old Alice in Chains shirt. That shirt still fits pretty well. It's 10 years old. So it truly just depends on the shirt and like what the manufacturer is. And there was I mean, so I'm learning my lessons. Let's just put it that way. Last night we went and saw Alice in Chains opening for Guns N' Roses. We were originally going to see them at Chase Field, the baseball stadium, and our team is good this year, so killing it in the playoffs right now. Knock on wood. So scheduling conflicts happened, so it ended up getting moved to Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, which is if you've been to any of the the big amphitheaters throughout the country, the sheds as they call them, it's all the same, the same. So it was cool. Got to see Alice in Chains open, got to see Guns. It was actually pretty nice. We got there like maybe 15 minutes after doors open, basically walked right in. Didn't have to wait in line at all. Parking was pretty easy. I didn't hate it being back there. It's been about 10 years, I think, since I had been there. And I didn't hate going back to Cricket Pavilion as I once knew it.
I was going to talk to, we didn't talk about it last night. I feel like, again, maybe like the opposite of rose-colored glasses, like whatever, but I feel like they have a better system than they had previously. Like I feel like it sounds much better than it ever did before, because me and you both have seen a good, especially back in the day, we saw a good many shows there at Cricket and or Talking Stick. We saw a good many shows there, and I feel like it was fine. But I feel like this show, and like I saw Fall Out Boy there 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it was, and it sounded great. Like I think, yeah, we got there, I don't know, on a half hour early or so. We walked in there and we looked around, got drinks and stuff. The merch line was a mile long, so like that was insane. And we walked up front to see what was going on. And on the topic of shirts, Metallica, as we talked about, you and I talked about last night, Metallica has broken us for a lot of things in this life, because Metallica shirts were $45, were they not?
Yeah.
So Metallica was $45, and every shirt that we saw there was 50 and up last night. Every single shirt. So Metallica charged $5 less. They also, their ticket deals, again, grant you, was for our date, whatever the hell. But our ticket deal was much better than what you would have got at Guns, with equivalency, what you ever would have got at Guns last night. So, like, Metallica did break us. So shout out to Lars and the boys there. We appreciate that. But
funny part about that, though, is we heard the same amount of music.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
So maybe if you look at it that way, maybe the pit tickets, they weren't so bad at 300, because I mean, when you hear 32 tracks, it's kind of but yeah, let's get into it. So Alice opened up. Alice is good, like always. I think it's like the 6th or 7th time I've seen Alice. I told Tyler last night, it's really weird. I remember I saw the reunion tour when William came into the band, and he was like the young guy in the band, and now he's got gray hair coming in and a little bit of the receding hairline that happens to the best of us. So it's just crazy. Like, he's been in the band almost 20 years now. It's 18, I think.
Yeah.
So
he's almost doubling up Lane. So
yeah. They still sounded great. They played about 45 minutes to an hour, I think. They came out at 6:30 and got off at 7:30. It was an hour, because then there was a half hour wait between them and Guns. And it kind of sucked because the show got rescheduled. So, like I said before, because there was scheduling conflicts between the baseball game and the concert, so they moved venues. So we basically had to rebuy tickets. So that was I don't know if we were in better spot or worse spot. I don't know. It's hard to tell. We were in comparable pricing, a little bit more expensive.
20 bones.
So I still had a lot of fun. Probably would have had way more fun down in the pit, obviously. But like you said, I think Metallica kind of broke it. And like when we spent $380 for 2 nights of Metallica, 10 feet away from Metallica, it's kind of hard to pay $300+ for 1 night of any band,
for sure.
So yeah. So this is obviously both of our first time seeing Guns.
Yeah.
I knew what to expect going in. I know they played 3 hours, every night, and they play a shit ton of songs. And I know Axl gets a lot of shit online because of his voice and stuff. So I kind of had preconceived notions going in. But overall, what do you think? You're a much bigger Guns fan than me.
Yeah, so I've gone on record before. We did our top 10 list, and Guns was on the top 10 list for me. Guns, because it's just, and we did this for Metallica and for Pantera too, and whatever, right? We already did this, but it's when you see these larger than life, true rock star bands, like truly rock stars, which not every band are rock stars. Like that's a thing. Like that's not that's a term people throw around about anybody that plays, in a band and, sells a little bit of tickets. It's not true. Yeah. Not every band, not every guy's a rock star. These are true rock stars. and they're rock stars in the most classic of fashions as well. So like they're in the same conversations as your Led Zeppelins, as your Queens, you know, as your Stones, you know, whatever, right? It's all the same. It's all the same kind of vibes. And to see these bands, and we've gotten really lucky here the last, you know, couple months here, to see these bands after, you know, 30 plus years of your life, hearing these songs, just, you know, whether you want to or not, they're just a part of the fabric of society. So it's like, you will hear these songs once a week, once a day, sometimes even, right? Like there's everywhere to see, and to be in that same room with them and to see them like play the songs, like, oh, that's the guy that wrote this. Like it's just insane. It's like it's the guy that wrote, you know, if you met Ernest Hemingway or something, right? Like the guy, if you met Shakespeare, like it's the guy, like so much is based upon these records or the, you know, these books or these songs or whatever, right? Everything's derivative off those. Like it's just crazy to think about. And I'd feel the same way if I saw, you know, any other the big people, like if I saw Paul McCartney or something, right? It'd be kind of the same deal. But yeah, it's just very special. And I knew the 3 hours was coming in there, was going to be the thing. And I'm okay with that. Like I feel as though like they gave us every bit of our money's worth. Like like we paid, I think we were at the door at $1.75 a piece. I think it kind of turned out to be. So like I feel like we got every penny of that. 3 hours, and even with, and they played all the songs you pretty much wanted to hear with very few exceptions. Because for the set list, I mean, they don't vary very much, and they gave you extra things that like maybe you had never even thought you were going to hear for a long time. Like they played Slither, like that was a big highlight because we're never hearing that song again. Like
No.
besides this, right? And I knew they were playing that for the last couple of years. I knew that was a thing, but just to see it still live is just crazy. And I think, I mean, we talked about last night, for the most part, I don't know, 85% of the set, I think Axl did great. Like, I think all things considered, he did much better than what, you know, I've seen and heard online, you know, and watched the videos of. It could have been a really, really good night for him. That could have been what it is. But I think that there was, again, few exceptions. There's some obvious, you know, wear and tear that he's had in his voice there and the Mickey Mouse stuff, you know, whatever. But for the most part, just I think he did great.
Yeah, I think certain songs lend itself more to his range now. I think like Paradise City is kind of, I mean, that was the closer. So at that point you're singing 3 hours. But Paradise City was kind of rough, and like some of the faster songs, Welcome to the Jungle. You Could Be Mine that's my favorite Gun song by far. And I was listening back to the little clip I took, and that he sounded pretty good on that. But like I thought he, like, the best he sounded was like the slower shit, like November Rain. I thought he sounded really good on. Don't Cry, Knocking on Heaven's Door.
Civil War I thought was good too.
Patience. So I had a lot of fun. I was fine with the 3 hours too. Because of this fact, I'll probably never see them again. So like I probably, like, if they came back next year, I don't know if I'd want to go. I don't know if I'd want to go for 3 hours and hear a lot of the same songs.
Same pricing, I think. Like, you know, I don't know if it's gonna go down, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. That'd be a conversation to have for sure.
But yeah, like you said, you heard basically everything you wanted to hear. They almost played all of Appetite. They played 8 tracks off Appetite. So, we did talk about that a little bit last night. Like I could have been fine with taking some of the covers off. Like they played a UK Subs cover, which was cool. But I'm like, and they played a Stooges cover that Duff sang.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, we could have removed those 2 songs and just played all of Appetite.
Yeah. And they did Wish All Lyman. They did Knock It Out Silver, but at this point it's a Guns, you know, whatever. But
yeah, it's more of their song. But those are my like only nitpicks about the set list, and I understand they probably don't want to make that a thing, like, oh, we're playing Appetite all, you know, every night or whatever. But like when you're gonna play 8 tracks of it, and you don't do new music, you do old songs, you re-release them every whatever year or two.
Yeah.
There's no reason just not to play the whole album.
Yeah. What the biggest thing the biggest like atrocity that we had there last night, which we both had, was just when they came out and did Absurd. They went away for half a second and they came back and did Absurd, and they had cranked the sound on
so
that
loud.
song triple what it was all night. It was so loud, and that's already a loud song, and it was too much. Like Axel's vocal like covered up all the rest of the music, and then all of a sudden when Slash started playing his solo, Slash's guitar was up even louder than that, and like it was so crazy. Like me and I both looked at each other and were like, Jesus, like this is ugh. Like it was like it was maxing out, overriding the system. Like it was crazy loud. So like that was my maybe a low point in the set. Like it was so cool, but like, I wish they wouldn't have done that. Like we could just keep everything the same level and the perfect mix that it had.
They were doing that. They were doing that all night though, and they would do that like, oh, Slash is gonna solo. I'm like, turn it up. Like just mix
like
it
in your car. Yeah, like it was kind of dumb, and like I don't know, like I don't have many complaints, but that was noticeable. So I wish that wasn't really a thing, but I don't know. Like I thought maybe because the Absurd song like that is like the way that it's recorded kind of sounds like that sort of, but like it was louder than like it. You still got the point across. You turned it up half as loud. Like you didn't need to go that full way, right? But yeah, like I don't know, like it's just with all the songs, like It's So Easy was great. That's a great opener. Played Chinese Democracy. They played Madagascar. They played Coma. They had they also, because we thought maybe that they were winding down there, and we thought we were just gonna get Paradise City at the end there, and they cranked back in. They did 4 more encore tracks, so that was cool. And I remember that Don't Cry is the one that you wanted. You're like, well, I wish they would have played Don't Cry, and they came out and they played Don't Cry in the encore, so that was awesome. Yeah, Civil War, that was, I don't know, a big highlight for me. My favorite song is Estranged. That's my favorite song they ever did. So seeing that live. Also, we were also simultaneously, because the Diamondbacks playing the same time. So we were watching the game. We had the game going while they were playing. We watched it, throughout Alice's set and whatever, right? And we still paid attention, but we were just basically looking at scores and stuff. We weren't like not watching it. We just had it so we could just kind of look down and see what was going on.
Yeah.
And they clinched it as they were playing Estranged, and I was like, this is poetry, man. My favorite song. My team just clinched the series, swept the Dodgers. That's a big deal for us as the lowly Diamondbacks. And just it was awesome. It was a really, really good time. I think, I mean, I know they got to play them, but like I don't care about Hard School. I don't care about that song. I would rather heard 15 other songs, but it's out there. So
I would have loved to hear out to Get Me and My Michelle. Those are the only 2 songs they didn't play.
Yeah.
So from outside. So like I get what you're saying. They have to play them, but they don't, because you're not doing a new record. You're never going to do a new record.
We'll see.
I would be more fine with it. It's like, all right, this is our new album. We're touring this new album. We're doing 6 songs, because they play 32 songs anyway. So if you hear 6, like, who cares? It's not like people getting pissed at Maiden when they play 16 songs and 7 of them are new, or the whole set is new songs.
God.
My point is, like, I get what you're saying. They have to, but they don't.
Yeah, they can do it.
They don't have to play them at all.
They have your money.
Those were definitely the low points of the set too. People were tuning out.
Yeah, because they have what? Let's say, It's So Easy. I think Slither's a big deal. I think everybody knows Slither, Brownstone, Welcome to the Jungle. I think obviously Live and Let Die, pretty tied up. Maybe that kind of falls off a little bit. I think Estranged still gets over, and I think you were right. People did mark out for Estranged. So when we did the songs many moons ago, and you were like, people will be excited for Estranged. We see that live. We see them do it. They'll be excited. People were excited for Estranged. I was stoked on that. So good call. You Can Be Mine, massive song. Rocket Queen, massive. Civil War, Sweet Child of Mine, November Rain, Patience, like 15 half the set are like iconic, crazy, huge songs. Maybe 20 of those songs are just absolutely crazy huge.
You could, you could honestly cut the set in half, like play 16, 17 songs, and it would be, people would be into it all night.
Oh, you wouldn't have a low point just at all.
I think that's part. I think too, it's not even that people don't even, they might like those new songs, but they're just tired because it's fucking 3 hours.
Yeah.
So,
and it's crazy. Like, again, when you see a band, like, because the band is super tight. The band is never the issue. That's never the question. The band's never the question. It's always Axl's voice, right? That's always what we're talking about. It's always the conversation. And the band is super tight. They're Richard Fortis. He's been in the band now for, I don't know, 20 years, I think, something along those lines. Been in their band forever. And then Frank Ferrier, he's been their drummer for as long as I can remember, seeing videos and stuff. So, like, last probably, I don't know, 5-10 years, whatever, since I really paid, well, longer than that, because they've been touring now for like almost 7 years since the reunion. But they're going strong, and so that's never been the question. It's just, Axl's voice is what comes up, and I think he's kind of got it down. Things, he has bad nights, I'm sure, but I think he's figured out. He's a professional musician, and he's figured out a way to make everything kind of work as best he could. And I told Ty, like I told you, like when we were watching him, because they were still like, there's points in Madagascar where he was still like hit like super crazy notes, and he still held stuff, and he was still able to do it, and like just lent it to his vocal. And I told during time, I was like, I hate Vince Neil. Like, Vince Neil is the worst. He's the absolute worst, because you have a professional in Axl Rose who has understands his limitations and has tried actively, especially for this reunion tour. Because I know, like, it was different for those other videos we saw, like early 2000s, mid 2000s, I think. That stuff is not good, at all. But I think he's at this point put the work in to make it as best he possibly can. He looks great. He's in great shape. He runs and darts around the stage all night. And I guess that's why that's why they were vacuuming. We made jokes about it. They were vacuuming the stage for like the entirety of the changeover from Alice to Guns. There was just 3 vacuums going on stage, just continuously in the carpets. And I guess obviously you don't want Axl to slip on any dirt, dust or anything, right? You want to make sure everything, is great for him. So, like, and he just darts around all night. He just does it all. Like, he obviously doesn't run around as much as he did in 92, but he's he's the oldest guy on stage. He's 61. Everyone else, so Slash is 58, Duff is 59, and then Axl's 61. He's the oldest guy on stage there, and he's just going all night. And you could tell he loves doing it. Like, he's having a lot of fun. He genuinely enjoys performing.
I mean, yeah, and I get those guys. They probably don't like each other. I mean, Slash and Duff are still okay.
Yeah.
Because they obviously did another band together. But they fake it well enough to where the money makes it so they can fake it well enough, if that makes sense.
I mean, for sure. And, like, I think it's business. I don't think there's a feud there anymore. It's pure obvious.
No.
Like,
I just mean, like, it's I get it. 99% of bands, when you get to that level, none of the guys fucking hang out together anyway. But like, it wasn't awkward at all. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
They've done it because for years, I never thought I was seeing that band, Ty. I never, ever thought I was seeing that band
in that form, close enough to like the classic. And you were talking about band members. Frank's been in the band since 06.
Yeah.
So, and then Richard's been in the band since 02. So, I mean, and Dizzy's been in the band since 90.
Yeah.
So, like, also the girl, the keyboards, she does backing vocals, Melissa Reese. She's good too. Yeah. She adds a lot. She does. See, that's the thing that helps him is those backing vocals. And a lot of guys don't do that because of their ego or whatever. It's weird talking about Axl Rose and saying, like, you chose the right decision. Your ego didn't get in the way. But having her do backing and also adding piano. I noticed a lot more piano in songs that I never noticed on the studio versions of stuff. So, the way they mix that, it helps fill things out. And a lot of bands don't do that. You're funny because you said last night, like, F Vince Neil. And it's just like, yeah, dude, because the dude doesn't even care. He doesn't even try.
No.
Whereas
They
Axl's
packed it
not
in.
doing the same shit he was 30, 40 years, or whatever, 30 years ago. But it's, at least he's attempting and doing a good job. Whereas
No,
Neil doesn't
yeah.
even care. Yeah.
Doesn't even care.
Vince Neil.
And like
Yeah.
it's just crazy to see that. And I don't know, man. I also, like, I was gonna say on Civil War, because the only video I took all night was Civil War. It's the only video I took all night, and I took about a minute and a half, 2 minutes of it. And like that was very Duff forward for the backing vocal. And I think that helped out Axl a lot. Axl still sang on obviously the whole song, whatever, but Duff was very loud in the backing vocal. And I think that helped out Axl a lot. Like if you have the backing vocal there from somebody else, giving you, filling in where you can't necessarily be there all the time with it, it works out so much better for you. And like what's ironic about that, again, I don't want to make, we've talked about Motley Crue, shit on them way too much, maybe on the show, maybe not enough,
Yeah.
but with Motley Crue, they've done backing vocal, like choirs of women on stage for 15, whenever they got back. As far as I know, they probably did it way back in the day too. Maybe I didn't know about it, I didn't see it, obviously.
But they're not even really singing.
No, they don't. And they do gimmicks with them too. The girls come out and they do dances and stuff and this and that, whatever. They do gimmicks with them. And they're not actually like adding very much to the show, if anything at all at this point, because it's all canned. But it's like, just come on, man. And yeah, Axl, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I don't know if it's maturity. I don't know if it's like, well, I guess it is maturity, or like he finally got help for whatever was going on for all those years, whatever. But like this band they have going on now, this incarnation of Guns, is one of the best ran machines in music. All they do is play shows. They start on time every single night. They do all the dates. They don't cancel anything. And if they do cancel it, it's not necessarily for anything they're doing. It's just things just don't work out, it seems. And then you just constantly, like, once a month, like Trunk talks about it, like once every month or once every 2 months or so, they add 10 more shows on to the tour, and just a continuous, machine that keeps going and keeps going and keeps printing money. And it's like, we were talking about it, like, at a certain point, like, when does this downgrade? Because before, the first tour was in stadiums. Like the first tour was in true stadiums, and that made sense, right? Because like, and I'm sure I don't know if they sold out on, I don't know the business, but I'm sure they did monster crazy good business that first tour, right? And ever since then, they've been doing, amphitheaters or still stadiums or big festivals, whatever, still doing crazy business. And like them just doing an amphitheater here, like, I don't know what Chase's sales were. We've looked this up a million times. I forget. It's like 28,000 or 30,000, 35,000 people, maybe. I don't know. I forget. We've talked about it a trillion times, but like, I'm sure they're going to do pretty good business there, but they absolutely probably, I'm willing to roll the dice here, they sold out Cricket last night.
There was definitely close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I didn't see many seats, if at all, that I really noticed that were clear. The lawn was $80, which is the most expensive lawn ticket I've ever seen. But the lawn was pretty healthy too. And, it's just, I got it. Like halfway through the set last night, brother, I was just like, it makes sense. Like, I understand it. I understand why people come to this still 8 years in, to see these songs done as well as they possibly can be done by these guys.
There's a lot of young kids too.
Oh,
like,
man,
teenagers and younger. So like that's a part of it too. Like they've never seen the band in any incarnation. So yeah, like that's going to keep, that cycle is going to keep repeating itself.
For sure. Because they're never not cool. They're just a cool band. They're cool dudes. They have the good look. Like that stuff transcends generations. That carries on.
Yeah, I mean, it helps too when you have one of the best selling records ever too.
Ever.
Like, if you start getting into rock or hard rock or whatever, like, you're going to hear that record. Like, you've heard those songs whether you realize it or not. So like, it's constantly making a new generation. Last little bit here before we bring this home, there was a little bit of I overheard some speak at the record store today about Power Trip, and one of the employees at Zia asked the guy who went to Power Trip about guns, and he was like, "Who's even in that band anymore?" You know, and my kind of point is, well, he might not be a fan, whatever. Who knows? My point to this, and I've heard that from actual people too, like, well, you didn't bring back fucking Steven. Who cares? Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've heard that argument from people before. So, like, on Trunk and everything. So, like, okay, if you wanted to bring Matt back, that cool, because then you have the guns and obviously the Velvet Revolver connection too.
Yeah.
I mean, are you really, if you wanted to go to this show, are you really, like, if you've never seen them or whatever, are you really gonna be like, well, Izzy isn't there, Steven isn't there, I'm not gonna go? Like, I'm nothing against those dudes, but as long, and even Duff is replaceable. As long as Slash and Axl are there, you're fine. Business is fine.
I mean, Duff was the last guy there for a good year and a half. I think he was the last guy that was still in the band. And
nothing against the dude. I'm saying name value recognition.
Yeah,
like
you're right. 100%.
Slash is probably bigger than the band. Like, people know him and his image more than they know Guns N' Roses.
I think even Slash bigger than Axl.
I would say by now, 100%.
Yeah.
My point is, as long as you have those two dudes, that show's coming off well, and it doesn't come off weird like Axl with a bunch of, how it was forever with Axl with a bunch of guys. It's a tight band, like you said. Duff adds to it. That's the icing on the cake. You know, you're getting 3/5. You know, a classic lineup, whatever. If you want to, Matt or Steven, whatever. But
I mean, it'd be crazy. I think, I don't know, man. Like, maybe I'm talking at a school, or not a school, but like talking like as a fanboy, whatever, right? But if they got a phone call from Izzy tomorrow and was like, "Hey, man, I want to jump on for a year and just do a year," I think that regenerates another level of interest. He's not been in the band since '91. He has songs. But like, they just replaced Richard with Izzy, a Richard lookalike, or Izzy lookalike, by the way. Richard just looks like Izzy. So like, I imagine there's more than a good handful and a half of people that went to that show last night saying like, they're the same guys, like whatever, like it's all of them, you know. Besides the black drummer, I guess you understand. They didn't have a black drummer back in the day. Maybe you knew that, but like, you know, he looks like Izzy enough. But it's, you know, I'd be pretty cool if they did. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I actually listened to an interview today, an old interview, old 92 Axl interview with Rolling Stone, and he was just shitting on Izzy because Radke left, and he was just shitting on Izzy, just like, you know, because Izzy, I guess, tried to call shots at the end of it. He tried to like, he didn't want to do videos. He wanted to do these things on his schedule and stuff. And then like Axl and everybody else was like, that's bullshit. He also didn't want to like rehearse and do the same things all the other guys were doing. And at a certain point, I guess the guys were just like, why is he? Yeah, I think he wanted a little more money too, in a certain respect, I think. And they're like, why are we catering to this guy and he's not wanting to put the work in? Circa 92 Axl, maybe not today Axl, maybe whatever. Circa 1992 Axl Rose. It was like, why are we going to cater to this guy when he's not putting in the same amount of work that we're all of us are putting in? So it was kind of interesting to hear that. Yeah, 92.
Yeah, it was fun, man. It was a fun few days of music. 2 good shows, just good rock shows. Like, good fun shows. So yeah,
I mean, it's the most I don't know the most, but it's damn near the most rock and roll shows I've been to, you know. So big ones. Like, I mean, obviously I don't know about that because we've seen back-to-back bands before and it was a nightmare too, because you know, that sucked us like real bad. But like, I don't know, just seeing 2 of the biggest bands in the world within a month of each other, month and a half of each other.
Oh yeah.
Just crazy. Absolutely insane. And love it.
Yeah, it's been a good run. It's been fun. So anyways, guys, if you made it this far, hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below, all that fun stuff. We'd appreciate you hanging out with us. Like I said before, we're nearing 100 subs, so let's keep it going. We'll bring you more show reviews, unboxings, vinyl hauls, all that stuff coming up on the channel. So check us out. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace.